When someone first goes into business, the first thing I tell them is call up your friends and relatives and go back to the field that you came out of. Okay, so of course somebody coming out of college, slightly different situation. But even if you look at the colleges, there are fraternities, sororities. You may not be allowed to use a school logo because you do have to have a license for that. Fraternities and sororities are not a problem, and they pay cash up front. As far as growing your business, see what's in town, see where the industry is in your town, and go after that. Joining some of the quote unquote the clubs, the Lions Club and some of those other things where you can network is certainly something that's worth looking at. Networking is definitely part of it. Developing your reputation as being a good business person who supports some of the charities in town. You need to get your name out there. You need to do the things that are going to bring people to you, and you need to network. I think that not enough people really understand some of what goes on in an industry. So one of the classes I'm going to do is on special effects. Well, one of the things I go through are what the department stores are charging for t-shirts. So, you have a Dolce & Gabbana t-shirt, one color print, blah, 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 $250. There isn't a printer that I know that couldn't do that shirt. Why are they getting $250? Oh, because it's Dolce & Gabbana. Okay. Or you go to Roberto Cavalli and his jeans with a slash and some paint on them, $1,600 to $2,000. So what I do is I have printouts of those jobs. That's fine. I also have printouts from department stores on companies I've never heard of that are getting anywhere from $75 to $200 a shirt. And it's like, you could do this, okay? Yes, you have to have some creativity. You have to have somebody who can walk into a buyer and convince them that this is worth buying. And some of the shirts I look at are like, really, this is it? You gotta be kidding. It looks like garbage, but they took the initiative and that's that. When I show it to screen printers, I mean, my favorite one is a sweatshirt. It's a white sweatshirt with white embroidery on it, with black trim on the bottom and the cuffs, and it has feathers sewn on. It's $4,500 for the sweatshirt, and size medium is sold out. And it's like, really, $4,500? Yeah, they only have to sell one shirt, and they've made their money. What's to stop you from doing something, not necessarily with feathers and stuff, what's stopping you from producing something? You do have to deliver, et cetera, et cetera. You do have some expense in there. But again, it's a different part of the industry, but there's certainly nothing that's stopping you from going after it. And there is a lot of companies that say, no, we're not a screen print company, we're a garment company. We contract off our screen printing. They're paying the printer $1. They're charging, $30 a shirt. That's going to sell for $60. So in between, they're picking up $25. What's wrong with that? And as a print shop, you can do whatever you want. And if you're a printer embroiderer, you can definitely combine them and go after that type of business.
Be very careful about your new customers. Again, we talked about this earlier, and that is target your customers. You understand which niche that you want to do business in. I recommend that you pick 3 to 4 niches to be not just competent, but expert in that area, to know everything that there needs to know about that. Not about how the garment is decorated or the types of garments that are being used, but how the garments are being displayed, how are they being distributed, how are they being sold, how are they being accounted for and transported, how is the events being promoted, are garments being part of the promotion? There's so many different things that you can incorporate into the knowledge of how garments are used in those particular niches. If it's a safety niche, does it have to be fire retardant? And if it's reflective, does it have to be ANSI reflectivity quality? There's all these different kinds of things that if you're not focused on a niche, you would never know.
Well, the first thing is you want to keep the customers you have, with a little proviso about that. So you want to keep the good customers. So the good customers, which usually that 80-20 rule is really true. In fact, when I've kind of analyzed it over the years, it's more like 15-85. About 15% of your customers are 85% of the money that you make. So you want to take care of them because it's a lot easier to keep a customer than to get a new one. And also word spreads much faster on you screwing up than it spreads. And what a great job you do. So you want to keep those people happy. That's the first thing. The other is that new customers are hard to get. When I look historically at my best customers, from the first contact I had with them till when they send me a substantial amount of work is 3 years. So that is a very long process, and you have to realize that you're not going to get the person you visit to send you all their work immediately. Then also the other thing is that you got to realize that most new customers are going to suck to begin with, that they are going to send you their hardest job or when they're in a big hurry or it's something that somebody else screwed up. And you just have to realize that. So you can't say, oh, this is going to be terrible forever. You got to kind of assess, is it the right match between you and the customer, but you do have to realize it's usually going to be some kind of test to begin with. So that's how I find people. I guess the other thing is you realize that you have to go out and find them. I see a lot of the small shops and the person will say, oh, I've been, seeing whether I really need to buy Safe Light covers. And I just spent 4 days when I was slow seeing if I really need to spend that $50. And it's like, dude, you should have gone out for 4 days and looked for customers and you could have paid for, 1,000 Safe Light covers in that time. It's hard work and you have to do it. Some people don't realize that being a priority actually means being a priority. So I have certain customers, they are priority. I drop everything and do their work. That's why I always wondered, if you focused on just rock bands, they all go on tour in the summer. They cannot all be priorities. So try to have a few customers that we just will do anything for them and they realize it and they're super loyal. And you can't make that up. They'll see through it and you'll lose them.
Until you get a national reputation or a reputation of any sort and you've developed your own style, you've got the fundamentals, you've got to work locally. And so, especially in these internet days, if you become a community and you work on the community, you become a hub for the community, that once you've done business for 1 year, you know when the bowling league needs their shirts, you know when the baseball league needs their shirts. And this is a big problem that I ran into in Puerto Rico. That in Puerto Rico, I was doing consulting there, teaching people, and it was a sporting goods company. And they have 4 sporting seasons for baseball. And it always seemed that they were complaining that in the sporting goods store, they'd come 2 days before the opening day and say, ooh, we need uniforms. And pretty soon a salesman worth their salt would understand that if the baseball season starts on April 1st, maybe we should have a nice sheet that makes it totally easy to buy. And this is an internet lesson that every interface person has taught us, that you need to make it easy to buy. And if you've experienced once where you get a bag full of 11 checks from 11 moms that want their basketball tournament for their girls, and so you've got to deal with it, and you need to embrace that. If you're ready for it, it's not a problem. If you walk down a dark alley and there are a couple of salty looking dudes at the other end and you're all alone and you've got $100 in your pocket, you're nervous. But if you walk down and you happen to have your baseball bat with you, it's not as nervous. You're prepared. You're mentally prepared to deal with anything that comes at you. And I think that's part of part of helping the community. That if on your website you've got the community calendar, especially in a smaller town, can't really do that in New York City or San Francisco, but if you're in a smaller town, you're starting up, you can be and it's the things that you like. So it could be running, it could be basketball or motorcycles, or who knows what hobbies you're interested in. You are that's probably the reason that you went into business. I've had so many people that said, I'm quitting JCPenney. I know exactly who I can sell to. Or they're a basketball coach and they know that they can go to all the coaches in the tri-state area and sell to those people. So building the community so you are the guy that they come to, because you're also promoting, that if you're dealing with restaurant people one day and then you're dealing with basketball people the other, maybe you can put some of those people together. You could be the glue that keeps the community together. You're the guy that does those shirts.
I'm a fan of old school, because I'm an old guy. And I'm doing actually a marketing seminar here, I think on the 3rd day. I think everybody wants to focus on social media and Instagram, and I'm okay with all of that. But if somebody goes to your website and they see it and they don't like it, maybe you've got your prices published and you're too high or too low, whatever, they don't tell you, they just don't come back. And I'm a big fan of FaceTime. I mean, going out, making calls, traditional marketing, and I think that you go after the accounts you want. So let's say you go to the mall and you sit there by the fountain and you watch people walk by, and what are you seeing? People wearing printed shirts. Well, that person, that company, ACY air conditioning company, they're buying shirts from somebody. So there's a lead, and you go after companies you want to do work for. You're watching TV and you've got a guy, a car lot, pitching every 5 minutes on TV. He could be a good candidate. And so I think you have to look and earmark accounts you'd like to have, frankly, and go out, talk to them, leave them a shirt, go out and hound them. You have to build your pipeline. And so I think the average printer doesn't do that. I think you get locked into this business because you're owner-operator often to making screens and doing the art and fixing this file and doing this and doing that. And next thing you know, you haven't built your pipeline. So you've got to, I think, build your pipeline. But go after accounts you want. Just target them and think, how can I get this account? Oh, it's a hospital. I could never do their business. They'd never talk to me. I'm a small printer. How do you know that? Until you walk in and talk to, whether it be human resources for employee ID or somebody in promotions. How do you know that?
Know your market and know your niche. What do you do well? I always go off the 80-20 rule. For me, do I want to make X number of dollars with 1,000, or could I make the same amount of money with 1,000 customers, or can I make the same amount of sales and profit with 20? Focus on that. Work harder, work smarter. I don't want 100% of someone's business, but if I can get 80, then that's good. So if you're a screen printer and you have a client that is getting signage somewhere, are you doing that? Are you adding that to your business, or do you have someone where you can broker that out? Promotional printing, embroidery, these are all markets. So instead of finding new customers, expand your customer base. I think word of mouth, it still comes back to sales and marketing. But I always say, look around. I see opportunity everywhere. Every rock band, every store, every boutique, every company, I see opportunity. Every graphic artist, and I say, look around. Don't look for the easy, low-hanging fruit. Everybody's there. Go look around. It's there. Find it. Keep going. It's not a one-time sale. Keep working on them.